The McCraith house was graciously gifted by the Dixon Ward family in 2013 and has served as a retreat and sanctuary for artists, photographers, writers, podcasters and creatives in residence, and provides tangible support to the creative sector. The house, which is located on beautiful Boonwurrung land on the Mornington Peninsula, is a National Heritage listed modernist marvel, designed by the highly renowned architectural firm Chancellor and Patrick in the mid-50s. It is a bold and unique structure that, from the mid-20th century to today, has stood to nurture similarly bold and unique ideas and art.
So McCraith House, or what some like to think of it as the Butterfly House, is in Dromana on the Mornington Peninsula, up high on a hill with a view across the bay of the city in the distance. It's very distinctive, and some call it a desire for infinite space, or a direct connection with the water, horizon and sky. And it has been described as something like a bird perched on a rock, extremely dramatic. It pops colour, it is exuberant, fun, and in this house you are in the landscape. It is just very beautiful.
As a kid, I didn't have any analysis at all. It was just a great place to be. But when I got older, I had begun to realise that the place was special because it had taken account of the landscape that it was set in, of the views, of the hill behind, and the big expansive windows. So when you sort of come up the back steps and open the door, you're basically in the view already. And it took me until I was an adult to understand how design can affect how you experience somewhere.
It felt very special to be driving down to the peninsula and getting to this incredible space, which felt particularly special to be somewhere that you felt like that kind of care and thought about what the experience of the people inside the house and people outside the house as well. It's so rare now to think of a house being built with that kind of care and love and creativity. So I think that as a starting point is an amazing place to get to.
And I just remember coming up the hill and just seeing like this really imposing structure, and it's so striking. And I wasn't expecting that. It just sort of like looms up on this hill, and just thinking, now I'm just kind of like, I can just enter into this fantasy land where I don't have any responsibilities except for writing, essentially. And I think the second thing that really struck me when we came into the house was I went to the guest book and I started reading the messages from previous writers, and I just remember thinking that I've just joined this legacy of Australian literature.
Such a beautiful building and peaceful environment, somewhere close to the beach and forest, up on a hill, kind of ideal place for thinking and writing.
My time at McCraith House feels a bit like a dream. I keep looking at my photos to make sure I had been, in fact, living there for 2 weeks. The house has such a beautiful, peaceful spirit that I found so restorative and reassuring. What I found especially moving about the house is the way it feels like the family have just gone out to the beach and will be back any minute.
So one of the beauties of being there, in Dromana there, is that I would often then walk down the enormous hill and then have a swim in the ocean. And a couple of mornings in a row, I'd seen this older gentleman, and he was drawing shapes in the sand with a stick, and he drew them every morning until he was finished. talked about all the things, and he said, you look like a creative person. What are you doing? I said, actually, I'm on a residency up the hill. I've just broken my book, I said, and I don't know how to put it back together. And he got his stick and he drew a line, and then he kind of drew across it as a star, and he said, you just start here and then you just follow it through. And he drew this 6-pointed star. And I went straight back up to the house. I was still all sandy and wet and in my bathers. And I drew the 6-pointed star, and then I had all these bits everywhere, and I kind of laid them all out on the ground. And I was like, oh, this is a way that I could shape this thing. Like I could be this crazy about it, and it could come together in this way. And so in terms of the influence, it was huge.